Hey guys, welcome back to It's Told by Ray. I am your girl Ray, and this is my YouTube channel, bitch. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Also, do not forget to turn on your post notifications so that you can be notified every single time I post. You want to be notified so that you will be a part of the Ray fam, aka the latest fam in YouTube land. And that is just one period, okay? Please do not forget to follow me on my social media. My Instagram and my Twitter will be linked down below in the description box for your convenience because bad bitch always leaves links. Please do not forget to also follow me on my Twitch and do not forget to join the Ray Fam Discord. And yeah, let's get into what today's video is going to be. So as you can see, I will be dressed differently from the actual video, and that is because I'm an idiot and I forgot to record my intro, or I deleted it, or whatever the case may be, one or the other. So today's video, I want to give a quick trigger warning before we get into it. We're going to be discussing some really heavy topics. This video is going to be another collab with Mesha, aka The Grapevine, here on YouTube. Yeah, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite or most impactful, or just some of the DEGRASSI storylines that really stuck out to us. If this video is something that will trigger you, please maybe don't tune into this one and just come find me in the next video on my channel, gang. So with that being said, I hope that you guys really enjoy this video. Okay, hey guys, I am back with my special guest once again on the channel. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I am the Grapevine, and you can find me on YouTube under that name, and on Instagram and Twitter at DPS the Grapevine.
I will also link her down below and put her socials on the screens just so that you guys can know where to find her. So today's video, we have decided to discuss our top 5 favorite DEGRASSI storylines, or maybe not even favorite, but like storylines that stuck out, like storylines that we felt impacted us, just that type of vibe. So we're not gonna, do a long intro. We're gonna get right into it. So, this my first one is one that you probably have not seen yet, and it's gonna spoil something for you, and I apologize for it, but I couldn't not talk about it because I love it so much. Well, not love it, but I like the way that it's shot. So there's a character in the later season. His name is Cam, and Cam commits suicide.
I already knew that, yeah.
Okay. So not to say that I like that happened, but the way that Degrassi approached this storyline, it was it was so good from the beginning, when they're just like, they're showing you that Cam has some issues, right? The way that the buildup starts, it's like first you see like he's sad and he misses home, and he doesn't really want to play hockey anymore. Then it escalates and you see him like hurting himself, doing things so that he does not have to play hockey. And you see like the people around him, and how no one is noticing that this boy is calling out for help, to be quite honest. And then when it actually happens, the aftermath after it, when you see everybody's different grieving process, oh man, that shit was like, it was so well done. I'm floored. It was amazing. So you haven't seen it yet, but when you do watch it, just prepare yourself, because I feel like on the first time watch, you're not really like paying attention. Like you're paying attention, and it's like but not really. Like it's like, oh, like you just think, oh, he's just a little depressed. Like it's not, it's nothing crazy. But the way that it escalates is just wonderfully shot.
Mm.
So storyline is great.
I can't wait to get there. I've seen people on Twitter talk about it, and of course, I already know. And
Yeah,
I know I'm still gonna be
it's
sad about it when I get there,
yeah.
because I'll get to know him.
Exactly. And it's like they do a really good job of you connecting with the character. Sort of like with JT, like when he died, that shit hurt because it's like, dang, like we really love you. So
Mm.
they do a good job at touching on those heartstrings right there with Cam, and it's a great storyline. Sad but great. Okay. Who I didn't mean to start off so heavy. So sorry about it, but it is really it's my favorite.
Mhm.
It's the most well directed, I should say.
Mine is kind of heavy too. All the storylines I picked are ones like I can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all kind of like really depressing.
Uh-huh.
We
No,
had
so
a trigger warning. For this first one, it deals with physical abuse.
mm-hmm.
Um, so it's with Craig and his biological father. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the premiere episode of season 2, we see this really sweet and like down to earth, charming kid, and we find out that he's Angela's brother. Um, they share a mother, and they've been kept from each other for so long because of the death of their mother and because of their biological father's an asshole. Um,
Yeah.
and then it slowly builds up to us finding out that he's being physically abused by his dad, physically
Mm-hmm.
and emotionally abused. And I just think that episode, that two-parter, and then the last two-parter of that episode of the season was so beautifully directed, and the cinematography was absolutely gorgeous. This has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with the storyline, but I love the way they did that and the score of those episodes. Oh my god, I can go on and on just about those things, but
What a way
I
to
can
introduce a character too.
yes, I think he has the most impactful introduction of any character.
Yeah. Because from what we had gotten with that first season, I wouldn't have expected for season two to open up the way it did.
Right.
So it was just like we had this whole new kid, and like you think he's just regular normal kid, and then as the episodes continue, you find out that it's not what it seems,
Mhm.
and that's how it is in most cases.
Yeah.
It could be the most normal kids, the ones that you always smiling and laughing, happy go lucky, and those are usually the ones. So
Exactly.
it is a really good storyline.
And I
It
can relate
is.
to it because I have an abusive mother,
Right.
emotionally and physically abusive,
Mhm.
and I have like daddy issues.
Same.
So I can definitely relate to that. That's why Craig is one of my, if not my favorite character of all time.
Yeah. Oh, Craig is I think first of all the actor that they picked to play him.
Jake
Going with Jake
Mm-hmm.
was like if you ask me, especially from those earlier seasons, I think we might have spoke about this. He had one of the hardest roles to play,
Mm-hmm.
and he did the fuck out that role
Yes.
as a kid. Oh my
Mhm.
god, he deserves his flowers. Honestly, I don't see why he's not bigger.
I don't
Playing a
know.
role like that definitely should have took him up out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the last in the so you're saying just that the first part and right now is what you're talking about is the first two episodes, not the last two.
Yeah, the last two is included as well.
Okay. The
Yeah, him
last two is
learning.
when his dad dies, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and him trying to figure out the complicated relationship between them, he
Right.
hates him because of the abuse, but he also loves him
Yes.
because that's his dad, his
Right.
biological dad. Joey's his dad.
Right.
So yeah, I can definitely relate to that because when my dad died, we weren't really that close. So I was like, I hate you for abandoning me, but also like, I mean, I guess I love you because like you're my dad or whatever.
Yeah, you
Um,
are my parent at the same time, so I guess.
yeah.
Sure. I feel it. That's really good. Ooh, we're like we're deep here. The next one I kind of want to talk about is the bullying of Rick slash the school shooting. Um, those are that's a heavy storyline right there.
Mhm.
It's it all first of all, it starts with the whole Terry situation.
Yeah.
The abuse situation and that starts off this whole thing. First of all, let me just say Rick had whoever his parents were not good parents
No, not at
because
all.
I wouldn't have put my kid back in that school. I'm so sorry about it. It just wouldn't have happened. Um, why they would think that he should go back to a school in which he put a girl in the hospital
Mhm.
and like people thought that he would not be bullied or like there would not be any type of consequence. The school itself is has always been not the school but the principal and the people in charge there, administrators
Mhm.
should have also been held very much accountable because why did you let him back in this school
Right.
when he was being bullied? Was it talked about? Yeah. Was it stopped? No. Um, so, and I hate to say it because, at the end of the day, this was something that Rick chose to do, right?
Mhm.
This was a this was a thought completely himself. No one thought to themselves that he's gonna come in here with a gun one day and just shoot up everything. No one thought that was gonna happen.
Right.
However, the events leading up to the shooting, it should be blamed on the adults.
Yes, exactly.
And that's why this storyline is a very, very important one. When someone is asking for help in the way that Rick was asking for help, like, hey, I'm being bullied and hey, like, could someone make this stop? Like, you should listen.
Mhm.
It's the whole thing was just really it was really sad.
Yeah. Like
And
a
it could
lot
have
of
been
people.
prevented.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm saying, and it could have been prevented, in my personal
Mhm.
opinion, had
It
they
could have
just
been.
not allowed him back at the school.
Right. A lot of people felt him. The Mr. Radish felt him.
Yeah,
His mother felt him. We don't really get to see his dad, but his mom really babied him and treated
yeah.
him like he could do no wrong.
Mm.
And that led to
Which
so much damage.
I just feel like, yeah, Rick was failed. Rick, he needed help. He needed therapy.
Yeah.
He didn't need to be back in that school with people bullying him. And then it was for me, for people to have been so shocked at the outcome. It's
Mhm.
almost like, well, what did you think was going to happen?
Right.
I'm sure you didn't think it was going to be that, but what did you think? Because I guess one season is a school year.
Mhm.
So what did you think an entire school year of this man being bullied was going to lead up to?
Right.
So it needs to be talked about, and the parents should really be. I'm not saying Rick should not be held accountable, but the parents, the teachers, anybody who was an adult that was involved in this situation needs to be held accountable.
I agree.
So that's why it's the second one I wanted to talk about because crazy.
So my second one, oh my god, I picked some heavy hitters apparently. Um, My second one involved Ellie's self-harming. Uh, that
Mm.
one's really tough for me. Uh, First of all, trigger warning, self-harm mentioned. Um, I relate to it. Before I even mention Ellie, I relate to it because I self-harm. I've been self-harming since like middle school, high school, um,
Mm.
and it's something I still struggle with. And to see someone like Ellie um, go through the same things that I'm going through, and be treated so seriously and not as a joke, like I've seen other movies and shows do, which is disgusting. Um, I thought I'm seen. I've been heard, and Ellie is such an interesting character. Um, I mean, we see how her home life is. Her dad is always away because of the military, and her mom is an alcoholic, and Ellie has to be the parent. She has to take care of her mom and herself, and that's a
Mm.
lot of pressure for a teenager to put on herself. And her mom is emotionally, mentally abusive. She even hit her that one time. I think it was only that one time after the fire.
Mm.
Um, and I really sympathize with Ellie. Even before we found out, she self harmed. I loved her goth aesthetic, her goth attitude, her badass fuck you attitude.
Yeah.
um, and I just fell in love with her before I found out her story, and that's really special when you barely know anything about a character and you still fall in love with them. That's
Right.
amazing. Um,
Um.
yeah, just always have a special place in my heart for Ellie, and I always will, even though she gets a little iffy in later seasons.
A
I
little.
know. A lot, I know. But I still can't hate her because of what she did in the earlier seasons.
Okay, so this was also one that I had. But I had it for the reason of, so this was the first time that I was really exposed to the idea of self-harm. So, it kind of, I knew that it was a thing, but I've never seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like feeling so sad for her watching it. And I remember just being like, well, dang, like, man, it sucks that she has to do that. And it's like, so I remember getting that feeling from watching it, like, actually, and then understanding like why she did it and what it made her feel. It was a learning experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
uh that's how I saw the episode, as pretty much a big learning experience. It opened my eyes to the fact that people really be going through shit, and they need a way to relieve that pain, I guess. And that was her way. It's not a healthy way, but it was hers.
Yeah.
And and I also liked when Paige found out how they kind of helps Ellie through that.
Mm-hmm.
She was a real friend, because I that was honestly one of the first times that you realize that, damn, Paige actually cares. Like, she
Yeah.
just be putting on a front, but she really do give a fuck. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's my take on the storyline. This show is heavy, man.
It is.
It's like, oh my god, it really do take you through like such a range of emotions watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So the next one I have is Emma's eating disorder, and it's kind of on here for a different reason than what like would be assumed, I guess. So for me, it hits really differently because I watched that when Miriam and Cassie did the live together,
Mm-hmm.
and Miriam was speaking on the fact that when she had to do this particular like storyline. It was something that she not only was going through in her real life, but she had also had a sister that also passed away from the same thing. And um she was speaking on how she didn't really care for the way that, the show handled the storyline, number one. And so just for me, like knowing that she was also mentally herself outside her character dealing with something that is the same thing that she now has to also act on TV, it really for some reason impacted me so heavily. And like now that I guess it's been brought to my attention and I rewatched those episodes in which uh the eating disorder was brought up, now see exactly what she's talking about in a way that I do not think this is one of the storylines that I do not think that the show handled well at all. I think more research should have been done. um I just I think that they should have approached it differently, is what I'm saying. So it's on here as a top, but for a different reason, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like it's on here because it's something important that does need to be talked about, but also I don't think it was approached right in the show. I think it might have escalated too quickly
Mhm.
for me. Like I just it just could have been handled better. Is how I feel about it.
Yeah. I think Degrassi has this history of, because we talked about it before with Will's. Um, Hope, who plays Will's, his dad died of alcohol abuse,
Mm-hmm.
and then they turned around and made Will's an alcoholic because they were
Mm-hmm.
inspired by Neil's dad. And I don't, that just seems exploitative to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't, it's iffy to me. Like, you don't just do
It's
that to somebody.
Yeah, it's almost like by forcing me to act this out, you're essentially making me go to a negative place. And you know that you are because you know that this is happening in my personal life, which means that you don't care
Mm-hmm.
that this is something that, like, I'm gonna later, yeah, sure, I'm an actor. Okay, yeah, okay. But at the end of the day, these are real people with real feelings.
Yeah.
And so imagine, how that makes them feel at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I would have hated it.
Yeah, because you're making them relive that experience over and
Ex-
over again with
exactly.
rehearsal and then finally doing the episode. Like,
Exactly. So that's just it's on here as one to be like, it's important, but it needed to be done better.
yeah.
So that's my third one.
Right. So, my next one is the Marco coming out
Mm,
storyline.
mm,
Again, I can relate. I'm not gay, but I am pansexual,
mm,
and I grew up in a very homophobic southern town where you just can't do that.
mm,
You have to be straight. Also, I grew up in a very homophobic household, a very homophobic and religious household.
mm.
So that was fun for me. um, so finally being able to see this eventually openly gay person,
Right.
um, and then soon after Paige,
Mm,
who's bisexual, comes out. Being able to see him go through the things that I will eventually go through soon after he does,
mm,
um, gave me some strength. Know that, hey, if Marco can get through this, no matter how brutal things got for him, and it got really brutal, he got beat up by some homophobes,
he
um,
did.
and he got shit on by his so-called friend Spinner. Um,
Mm,
if he can go through that, then so can I, and then so can every other queer kid in the world. Um, I just made I can't speak for everyone in the community, but it made me feel like I had a community. Um,
right.
And I think it wasn't handled perfectly in the show, but it was realistic. I mean, Marco was internally homophobic. He said some really homophobic things before he came out. Um,
Mm,
he said the F slur in a very negative way because he wanted to get out of that image. He wanted to appear straight.
mm,
And I mean, I've definitely said some things that would be considered homophobic or biphobic or panphobic or so like I get it. It's all an experience, a very confusing and imperfect experience. Um, and I just really love Marco like as a character. Like he's such a sweetheart. Like you
yes,
if you don't root for him then there's something wrong with you.
you do. I okay. So when the topic of Marco for me comes up and his whole, well, maybe not the topic of Marco, but like the topic of sexuality and how they express it on Degrassi. Um I think starting with Marco that it got like every time they did a storyline in which it had something to do with sexuality, it kind of got a little better each time.
Mhm.
So by the time we make it to like Riley per se,
Mhm.
and his internal, he's having the same kind of thing that Marco was having, except I think his was a little bit worse because with the whole football thing and he had a complex and it was just I like I like that they made sexuality be a thing. Like I like that you could
Mhm.
be on the spectrum in Degrassi and that it was okay and it was accepted. I do not like the relationships that they put the gay or bi or whatever you want to be characters in the show because none
Mhm.
of them were healthy. Dylan and Marco, why they felt like Dylan was the only man that Marco could be with is baffling to me.
Right.
Why, like, why in the later seasons, or why they had Tristan and Miles be in this just the most toxic relationship ever is baffling to me. Like, why there were no healthy gay by pan like why there were no healthy relationships involved in it. So do I think Degrassi does handle the storyline aspect of it well, the coming out part, that part. I just don't think that they handle the relationship part well for me.
Right.
Whew, okay. Another very heavy topic we have here for my fourth one would be Darcy's race slash mental health thing that the storyline itself, the season, first of all, Shanae carried that entire season 7 on her
Mhm.
fucking back. I think that this is a very important storyline. It taught a lot of lessons that I'm sure for the time that it wasn't stuff that people really knew. Like when you're at a party, you don't sit your cup down. If you do, you get another one.
Mhm.
Um, be safe. Like don't be in no open places without your friends. Keep people around you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Just be careful was the whole thing that I got from essentially the rape part of it. Is
Right.
what for me really it was the aftermath and how like it really for lack of better words it really fucked Darcy's mental up. And
Yeah.
it took a lot for her to even admit that she was raped. But yeah, she didn't even want to admit it at first. It wasn't even something that she thought could have happened to her. She was just perfectly fine with being like, okay, well, it was Peter and we're gonna scratch that. Then you see as it starts bothering her, or as Peter is really like, I don't think it was me, but okay, sure. You see Darcy be
Mhm.
like, well, shit, like, maybe that is what happened to me. In her internalizing that that is what happened to her, you see her start to essentially break down.
Mhm.
Um, she is not herself. I think even at one point she does try to commit suicide, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Uh, the rooftop scene
Mhm.
is like, it's so heartbreaking. Just
It
watching,
is.
especially, and it's even more heartbreaking when now we know that I'm not the biggest fan of Darcy.
Right.
Don't like her at all. But when you see the transition from the character that she was before, happy go lucky, just excited to be alive, just she was she was the church girl. She just that was her thing.
Mhm.
God helps all, friendship club, to like this completely like a whole different person. It's just,
Literally overnight.
yeah, it was so wonderfully done. Shanae is an amazing actress.
Mhm.
She deserves her flowers just like Jake,
Yes.
because she carried this whole storyline. It's beautiful. And I like that it wasn't something that was, because Degrassi tends to start storylines and rush them. And
Mhm.
I like that this was not rushed. This was something that you saw progressively happening over a season.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that, oh, like they mentioned it here and then they mentioned it here again. It was something that you saw, just she was the main storyline for the season. So it was great. I don't really have much to
Mm.
say about it other than it was great.
Yeah.
Greatly shot, greatly directed, acted out great. And when I say it's great, I don't mean like, it in a way where like, oh my God, we're excited that she got raped. And by no means am I saying that. I'm
Yeah,
saying
of course.
strictly just the way it was shot, the way it was written. I love that. It was really good.
Yeah. And like, it makes me wonder like if they had like different writers for her storyline compared to like Emma's eating disorder storyline where it happened so fast and there was no build up. Like what was the difference? Like what was their mindset?
Maybe it was just different writers, or maybe like the eating disorder one wasn't a storyline that they knew how to approach or like really
Mhm.
do justice. I don't know, but they did this one really well. Even I feel like the
Mhm.
difference between hers and Paige's
Yeah.
is like such a big difference. And then you have it where they do one later where it's another type of situation like that it's sad to say, but I think that they do the sexual assault storylines really well, and they're all different.
Mhm.
And you see like how differently it affects each character. So I do think it was just a case of different writers. Maybe I would say different time, but it happened a season apart. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, but this was so well done.
It really was.
You feel bad for everyone involved in the situation. Even the whole her blaming Mr. Simpson thing. Ugh,
Yeah.
I was just like, damn, this man cannot catch a break.
I know. And like I hate how people paint Darcy as the villain during that time. Yeah, what she did blaming him wasn't right at all,
Mm-mm.
but it was just her way of coping. Like she went through some really fucked up stuff.
Yeah,
She's
it was
obviously not in the
traumatic.
right mindset. Yeah.
And you could tell that she wasn't in the right mindset. So it's like people blaming her just I feel the same way that I feel about that, like people blaming her for Mr. Simpson thing, that I feel about back to Cam, people blaming a character named Zig for the death of Cam
Mhm.
because he was the last person to have a conversation with him. So now, like, people hate him. At the end of the day, the decision to commit suicide was Cam's decision.
Right.
So, how can you not like somebody based off a decision that somebody else made? Especially when if you were watching the show, Cam was going to do it anyway.
Mhm.
It was nothing that Zig could have said to him in that moment that would have changed Cam's mind. Did they have an argument? Yes, but they were also beefing. So
Mhm.
I'm sure that when Zig was saying whatever he was saying, he didn't think that Cam was gonna go and do that. So, it's just,
Yeah.
I feel like the fans can be kind of biased sometimes with what they choose to nitpick about. Like, even me, I don't like Darcy, but I would never blame that on her. It was fucked up, but she wasn't in the right mental state.
Right.
So what do you want from her? You know? And it did
Mhm.
eventually come out that it wasn't the truth. People pick and choose, man. People pick and choose who to blame for what,
Right. Mhm.
and it's sad. So, okay, yeah, I'm done.
All right. um. Well, you talked about Paige a little bit, and
Uh-huh.
that's my next storyline,
Okay,
her sexual abuse storyline.
another
Whew.
head. Yeah.
Yes. Um. Geez. Okay. Well, the thing that really stood out to me about the storyline is Paige's character arc.
Mhm.
She started off in season one as this really bitchy, mean girl. I forgot just how mean she was before I rewatched the season. Like,
Mhm.
she betrayed her friends. Like, she was just really catty. And it wasn't until, unfortunately, she was sexually abused that it really brought her down a notch
Mhm.
and really made her a more down to earth character and a more relatable and likable character.
Right.
That sounds so weird to say,
Right.
but I mean, it's the truth. Um,
It
I,
changed the whole projection of her character.
it really did. And I feel like it made her grow into this independent and more mature woman.
Mhm.
And I honestly and unfortunately don't think that she would be the person she eventually is if she was not sexually abused. And I
It's
mean, it's
sad to
kind of,
say. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of messed up to write it that way, but that's honestly the truth for some people in real life. You know,
Yeah.
they get their priorities straight. I mean, they have to, if they're sexually abused as a kid, they have to become an adult
Right.
way before their time.
Mhm.
And it's just the way it is. And I liked how the writers wrote this storyline for her, and she's the perfect person to do this with because she was the queen bee. She thought nothing could bring her down off her pedestal, and until she found out, yeah, there is something that could knock you off your pedestal, and it knocked you right in your ass, and you didn't even see it coming.
And as sad as it is that she did not win
Yeah, the court case.
exactly the court case, I think that also had a lot to do the type of person that she became after that. Because I'm
Mhm.
sure that to her thinking to herself, she thought, I'm gonna win this because he did this to me. But it really
Mhm.
showed that nah, that's not always how it goes.
No.
Them picking Paige for this storyline, I don't think that they could have picked a better person to do the storyline at the time
Yeah.
because it really, and oh my god, I hate to say this because I don't want it to sound like I'm saying like she had to be sexually assaulted in order for you to like her,
Mhm.
but like it made her be a standout. It made you feel for her. It made you feel something for her because for the first season, watching it, I forgot how horrible Paige was,
Mhm.
and she really was horrible.
Yes.
But here I am talking about how Paige is one of my favorites, and I'm like, where? I'm sorry, I don't even remember this Paige. I think I blocked out
Mhm.
season one Paige, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
I just I forget it happened, and we started at season two, and I love her all the way through.
Mhm.
I really do. Okay, okay. I think this is my last one,
Okay.
and this is one that has to be talked about because it's not even that it's a good storyline. It's the first, not the first, but it's a storyline that physically causes me pain.
Mhm.
And this storyline is the death of Mr. JT York.
Oh God. Mhm.
this this is the first like death of a character that I seen happen because I started watching Degrassi way before I should have been. I
Mhm.
was like 10 watching this show, and JT dying really like, because you know how in TV shows they have the whole thing where a main character isn't gonna die, like they're not gonna kill off
Right.
such and such, like why would they do that? That don't even make sense.
Right.
And I'm like, so for him to actually die, like we in the hospital and they telling us, yeah, he didn't make it. It caught me off guard. I was like, the fact that Liberty had to be the one to find him,
Oh my God.
the fact that he didn't get to tell Liberty how much, the fact that they kind of low key made you really dislike him before he died, because
Mm.
essentially that's what they did for me. His whole the thing with Mia, where they was going with his character, I wasn't feeling it anyway, but I didn't want him to
Mm.
die. Like death just seemed so dramatic. He couldn't have just
Yeah.
left. Like, oh my god, it pains me every time I think about it. I don't even, now when I rewatch, I skip those episodes. I don't watch them because like
Mhm.
they hurt, and I feel like though like Cam's death, it hurt, and you know I felt emotion about him dying. I
Mhm.
don't think any other death in this show has like hurt as much as that one.
Yeah.
So that's why it's here. It was emotionally taxing, and I'll never forgive the writers or Ryan for ever just for even like being like, "Oh yeah, kill me." Like, what? Sir? Huh?
Right.
I don't know how else they would have got him to leave, but I just
I
know it
don't
didn't
know.
have to be Jeff. They couldn't have just done a Terry. Like
Right.
you just don't ever see him again. It's just so sad.
It
It's
is.
oh my god.
And there's this Degrassi mini. I don't know if you've seen it. It was after he
Oh,
died, and Liberty was
oh,
dreaming about him,
oh my
and
god.
he told her, "You know I love you, right?" And I died. My
Ah,
soul left my body. I
ah.
could not handle it.
It was the first time I watched that, I'm not gonna lie. I cried because I was just like, this is like, it was the, what got me was when he started talking about like, the future. And she
Oh,
was like, but JT, that's not gonna happen because, I was just like,
yes,
oh, what the
yes.
fuck? Like, you guys are trying to get tears out of a bitch, and I am not. Wow, y'all just did a lot. I miss the minis. I wish that was a thing that continued.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
Mm-mm.
After, oh,
But yes, it had to be talked about. You can't mention a Degrassi storyline video without discussing Mr. York. I just feel like it would be
yes.
it would just not be a good thing. So yeah, JT is my number 5, and I'm still physically hurt from that. So
Mhm. Understood.
I'll never be the same.
No. And I still can't believe I played myself because before his death, I stopped watching the show for a little bit for some reason I can't remember.
Mm.
Then I think I told you like I saw someone's like tribute video of him online on YouTube, but the thumbnail was of Toby and Liberty crying. I was like, why are they crying? What do they have in common? JT. JT must have died. No, that can't be true. I watched the episode. I was like, damn, he really did die. That's crazy.
That episode name is Rock This Town, right?
Yeah.
Sure did do that.
Mhm.
It it Oh my God. And then at the end of when they was graduating and
Mhm.
they went and did the cap on his, oh, I said,
Oh,
oh my God. You people are trying it.
uh, just thinking about it gives me chills.
Yeah, man. Whew, it takes me back. First time watching that was crazy.
Mhm.
A main character death like that. So after that, I was jaded. Like
Mhm.
I didn't, I didn't trust. I didn't want to emotionally attach myself to any more characters after that, and I didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, it's over. You have killed any ounce of me emotionally connecting to these characters. It's done.
My last one is about Wills. Um,
Okay.
I said Craig is my favorite character, but I really think it's Wills, and like Craig is like his close second.
Hmm.
It was him losing his parents and him becoming an alcoholic storyline, like
Mm.
that whole thing. I think he's one of the most well written characters of the show. Um, Again, I don't like how they did the whole alcoholic thing and putting his real life in there, but I thought they did it so well. And it was so fluid, him going from this, everyday kid who's in a band with his friends to this kid who lost both of his parents at the same time and him having to move in with his grandparents and him using alcohol as a coping mechanism. And it's just, it's like it was a downward spiral. Like you knew as soon as he lost his parents, there was no coming back for him. Like
Mm-hmm.
you could see him falling, and it hurt every time you see it because you just want it to stop, but you know it's never gonna stop until it reaches its peak. And it did when he got drunk and drove and killed a kid and um temporarily paralyzed Lucy. And just just oh my god. And then the fact that it relates to how he really died in real life, him dying alone, drinking, being an alcoholic, not having any friends or family around. And it's just like, why does art have to imitate life and life have to
Right.
imitate art? And
Right.
it's just a sad story because it's really messed up how both Will's and Neil's life ended like that. It's just, it will never leave my mind how they both relate.
It is that's a really touchy subject. I hate that he had to, end up essentially just alone at the end. That's really
Yeah.
sad. I would I don't even know what I would do without, some of the people in my life, and to just be at the end and just be by yourself just here. It's just like to pass away and no one even know. It's just like that's just so it's so sad. I feel like they could have given him um redemption.
Hmm.
I feel like the story didn't have to end the way that it did. But at the same time, I mean, how else was it expected to end?
Yeah.
When they were setting his setting they set his character up for it to they set him up, and then he started spiraling, and like they never put anything in place to stop him from spiraling. They just kind of let it
Hmm.
happen, and it's sad. His grandparents did try, but I
Yeah.
think he was too far gone by the time that like they tried to try. His
Hmm.
friends tried, but it just it just fell through, man, and it happens. People slip through the cracks.
Yeah.
I just wish that they wouldn't. The storyline is a good and important storyline. It is, but I just don't think it needed to be given to him.
Yeah.
I think it was selfish to give that storyline to him, and it
Hmm.
makes me wonder. after these kids deal with these traumatic storylines from, because we've discussed a lot, eating disorders, rape, suicide, like we've we've talked about a lot. Do
Mm-hmm.
these actors get therapy after this? Because imagine having to take yourself to a place of like, oh my God, like I'm playing someone who is sexually assaulted and I have to go here and I have to put myself here. I would need therapy after that.
Yeah. And these are 12, 13, 14-year-old kids. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just give these kids these type of storylines and not help them afterwards. Like, they have to really make this storyline their life for a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Especially if it's a storyline in which like it's a long drawn out thing, like with
Mm.
Wheels or like Craig with his mental health. It's a long drawn out thing. Um it just there has to be therapy in place.
Yeah.
Because I would need to talk to somebody because they say that actors do sometimes resonate with the character that they're playing, and it's a
Mm.
thing where like it's hard for them to kind of break out of it. So
Yeah.
I would need therapy, and I hope that, and I think the way that certain characters anyway were treated on this show, it kind of speaks volumes because a lot of them wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
A lot of them have like said, Degrassi was a period in my life and that's what it was. Cassie for a long time didn't want to talk about it
Mm.
because it was probably something really traumatic from her childhood that she was just like, you know what? Nope. Let me just block it out.
Yeah. She had to be seen on live TV wearing a thong as a 14-year-old. She
Yeah.
got bullied for that.
It is absolutely sad, but mm-mm-mm. Okay, guys. Um, we have gotten through this very depressing video that I did not think was going to be depressing, but here we are. um, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to follow all of her social media. They will be linked down below in the description box. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next video. This is a lot. Bye, guys.
Bye.